Actually, I just now realized that it maybe wasn't the very best idea to make the video the way I did it. Because when I actually saw the file size of 12.5 gigs for an hour-long video that I'm gonna upload straight to YouTube, which is gonna take like 1.5 hours, if not even longer. And I have to do now the whole thing once again in English, because usually I make the English one first, but this time I did the German one. This is hard because I have to say the whole stuff once again. But I mean, it was so much fun in the German part that I don't think the English part will be any less. But what's it actually about? Because the first time that I did a video like this, actually the first and only time, I did it in 2014. And the video was called like 20 tech products in 20 minutes. 20 minutes definitely won't be enough, as you have heard already by now in this video, because back then I didn't have much and I was only covering devices that I bought in 2018, tech products. What I'm gonna do today though is cover what I bought this year for myself. Actually, I just realized after I've made a whole video in German that pretty much everything that I bought is pretty much just for the channel. I didn't buy pretty much anything for myself. But what I also want to cover in this video is everything that I got for free from press agencies or brands. That could be interesting for people who just want to maybe know what did he get, and that's why I'm saying I'm an open book. That's about transparency, so now you know what I got, so that you know that. But also for maybe YouTube starters who just want to see, because I was asked when I was on the OnePlus 6T on the McLaren event in Germany, a small one, when they opened their new kind of location. And they asked me, two guys, Tech Frogs, German channel, so I don't think I have to promote it here, but I did it on the German one. Two nice guys, brothers, and they asked me, what do you actually keep of all that you review? And I said, it's not much, it's not much. And I wanted to actually test this today, or actually yesterday, and I wrote down a list because I wanted to do a video of all the stuff that I bought already a while, but I never got to that since 2014. And I made a list of all the things I bought and all the things that I kept. And I have to say the list is actually longer. But before you hear what I actually got in terms of overall money over the whole year, once you watch the video and actually see what kind of products I got and what I actually still use and for what kind of purposes I use them. Because most of those things, that is something that I can tell you already, if you are a lot into audio, because there are a lot of headphones here and a lot of other different stuff, so it's pretty much just for comparison's sakes for a future review, or maybe like things like keyboards, because brands that usually give you stuff to keep are audio brands, if it's not too expensive obviously, and gaming brands. Those things you can keep, so if you're interested in that. But you will see, and I will tell you of all the things that I bought, of which is something that I regret, or which is something that I still use on a daily basis, or for example on the things that I could keep if I actually still use them. So let's start off with the list, and the first thing on the list is actually the one that I'm looking at right now, which is my 11-inch iPad Pro. Here's my list, written with the Apple Pencil, and yeah, just real quick. Pencil, and that's a discussion for the review when it's actually out, doesn't feel like writing on paper at all. It feels extremely like hard plastic on glass, but it works well, I have to say, and I definitely want to try to incorporate it a lot more in my YouTube stuff, because it could make things a little bit easier for me. But I'm not gonna get into the whole discussion that this thing is overpriced and everything else. I guess we all know that, and I had to think a lot and a long time about it to actually go. But I know that I use, for example, my iPad Air 2 that I also still have here for since release, and this one I will use for a long period of time, and it's a luxury product. But this is on my list of things that I bought, actually the only one that I bought for myself as a luxury product. The rest is everything pretty much just for the channel. So let's get into the next thing, and I will also let you know the prices, just so you get a little bit of a perspective, because I did not really make the full math by now, but I would say like 5,500 euros I paid for my own stuff. Roughly that. I maybe forgot some things or don't have them here. And if you think actually this is everything, there is still a table here with pretty much just as much again, because I couldn't fit it all here. And actually about the setup, I did my best, because the next item actually on the list is the Fuji X-T3. I didn't buy it yet, but it's just a matter of time, so I still think I will do it this year, because I want to take it to CES. But it's already included in the price. Otherwise, just take off 1,800 euros. Then it would be noticeably less what I bought. But I just bought this also for the channel. And getting back quickly to the iPad, with the pen, I paid 860 about for the 11-inch. yeah, 64GB version. But getting back to the camera, that would be handy now if I would want to maybe show you something so you could zoom, because my stupid G7 can't do that. So this is the best that I can do. It is actually flat because it looks like, but that's the background, so I'm leveled. But that's the best I can do in terms of setup. I can't go any further to show you more, and I can't, yeah. Okay, next thing. Monoprice 1060C, those are here. I bought those while I was actually still in the US, and I got a little bit of a rebate. Not quite sure how much percent it was from Monoprice themselves, because it was a review unit. So I paid about 240 euros. Usually they are about $330, I think. And I have to say, really nice headphones. Great build quality. I mean, yeah, design is something different. I mean, they look very bulky and they are quite heavy, and this looks like something that Frankenstein put on his monster. But they are comfortable. They are a little bit wobbly and heavy, but it's about the sound. Planar, closed ones, you can open them up, obviously, but they sound really good. And for 330, and obviously for all the products that I'm gonna show today, I have a review out there. You can find it. Just go on my channel and search for it. Shouldn't be an issue. I'm not gonna promote here or anything. It's not about affiliate money here. But I really like these. But I mostly bought this for comparison's sakes, because so I can review other things, so I know if there is something just with a better budget. I think they are absolutely worth the money. I mean, a few people still disagree, but that's what it is. So 250. Then the Monoprice 1060C, those are here. That's the open back version that has the 5K ring. That never bothered me. Still like those a lot as well, also mostly for comparison sakes. Then the Odyssey 2Cs. Cost about $800. I paid $600 because I just bought the used review unit from them. And I know some people think the clamping force is too much, but for me personally, actually they look actually quite subtle, I have to say. Because as big as they look from the side, it's actually not that much here. And I love the comfort. They are so nice and cushiony. It could actually be a little bit thicker because sometimes my ear touches, but it's not an issue. I love the comfort. These are still my most comfortable headphones that I've ever tried. Love them. I love the sound. And those are my daily drivers actually by now. And actually it's with 600 euros more than I ever expected to actually pay for a headphone. But once you get addicted with headphones, you can see the wall behind me, and there are even more headphones. Yeah. Okay. Then the Sennheiser 58X, I just reviewed them actually not that long ago. Where are they? Here. Not the biggest fan of the build quality or of the comfort. I still think they sit a little bit weirdly on my head. Actually, my Sennheiser HG600s are more comfortable because the pads feel noticeably harder for some reason. But they are open back, they are airy, great sound, because these are very close to the 660S, which I still think are a little bit nicer. They didn't sound quite as dark, a little bit more open in some way, but these for $150, because I should have actually bought them while I was still in the US. Then I would have paid like 130 euros or $150 what they cost. I paid 180 euros, which is a little bit over $200, because I had to import them, but still worth the price. But I also kind of mostly bought them for comparison sakes, yeah, to compare them with other ones. But I still like them actually and use them quite often also on the sides. So the next thing, Logitech G Pro. I just reviewed that also not that long ago, but this is my own unit. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep that one. Costs about $150. I paid $90 because through the place that I work with, you get a rebate from Logitech for some reason. Paid $90. Still a lot more than I would have liked to have paid for on mouse, but this is ambidextrous, which is something that I need as a lefty. It's wireless, it works great. It has one button less than I would want, but I love it. It's absolutely great, and it's just noticeably better than the Lens head that I got from Razer for free like a year ago. But not this year anymore. So that's great. So I didn't regret so far anything on the list. Then the Cambridge Audio Azure 740. That's a stereo amplifier. I have that down there where I test my speakers and so on. I like it a lot, but I also have to say that I got it 50% off from Cambridge as a reviewer. Usually it costs like 1,500 euros. I got it for 750. It's absolutely worth the 750 without a doubt. 1,500, not quite so sure, because when I checked for something, I didn't know I can get a rebate yet. I checked the competition and I didn't really see much that was interesting for me besides maybe Yamaha, but those were 1300, and I don't know if they were any better, so I can't judge it, but I'm fully pleased with it. I mean, it's not the newest one anymore. That's why it's maybe not super recommendable anymore, because it has no digital inputs, so I had to use a deck for that to use it with my PC. But I like the sound quality, I like the design, I like the UI or the display and so on, so I like it and I use it. Then the Audio GD NFB 1128 headphone amp. Yeah, I bought that so I could review all the headphones a little bit better than I did before with the Shit Magni 1 and with my Focusrite, but I love this thing. It sounds really, really good. It has a lot of power. I can drive anything with it. I like the sound balance. The DAC is great. The inputs are there. Costs usually like $400 or euros. I mean, in the US, you can get it cheaper, I think, for $300. I paid 300 euros because I got a little bit of a rebate since I reviewed it. Then Echo Dot 3rd generation. I bought 2 of them. The main reason why I go for Amazon instead of Google is that I think, I don't want to say the name, but she sounds a lot more natural than what Google does. And also, I actually have to say, I don't use it for all that much. What I mostly use it for is for alarm clock. I use it to check the time, which is something that I do like 10, 20 times a night because I wake up all the time. Then I, for example, ask sometimes a little something, and do a little bit of smart home, but what I mostly bought now, those 2 extra for with the second generation that I have in my bedroom. I have one here in the studio so I can control my lights, but just the main lights, and I have one in the hi-fi room so I can turn on the lights there as well. So that's what I use them for. Totally worth the money. I paid like $40 for each one of the 2 that I bought because they were also with the Amazon Smart Plug. So that was a good deal, a really good deal. So these would be like 50 each, and then the smart plugs, I got 2 extra smart plugs that I haven't actually used because I don't have something to plug them in with. Studio lights I bought for about $80, so pretty cheap ones from China, from eBay I bought them. Just for those energy saving light bulbs, but those big ones, so it takes up quite a lot of energy after all. But I mean, it gets me the light that I wanted to, and especially I also bought one extra, which is one that hangs a little bit over the desk, which is a little bit of a different thing, but that's the only one that is noticeably colder light. The other ones, all 5500K, this one is noticeably colder, but it's not enough to actually break something, so I bought that. Then I bought the Sigma lens for my Sony a6000. It's the 30mm 2.8, costed about 180 euros. Needed that for the headphone reviews because, yeah, my usual lens, the 50mm, just is too narrow, as you can see. And I will actually show some stuff later on that makes sense to be shown. So that one I need. Then a tripod, I'm not going to show that. It's the same that I already have for a few years. It's a handle, costs like $60. It's nothing expensive. It gets the job done. I actually just bought the second one, so I don't have to always move the one that I usually use all the time. Makes things a little bit more convenient if I maybe use it somewhere else. Doesn't have a particularly fluid head, but it actually works pretty fluid, and it does a pretty job. As you can see, nothing super high-end what I have. It's still affordable. Then LED studio lights. I bought LED lights because I wanted to switch from the normal lights that I have, those big soft boxes, but the problem was that that light just wasn't diffused enough. It was not soft enough. It was too harsh, and it actually produced a nicer video quality than I have right now. It looked way more pleasant because I could control the color temperature way easier, the brightness and everything else. But the problem was that I couldn't brighten up the room enough so I can actually record with this cam the devices that I usually have. So that was the biggest bummer, and that was the main reason why I still have them, paid over $200 for them, and actually don't even really use them. Okay. That was what I bought for myself, and as you have seen, I actually didn't realize it until the end of the German video. Besides the Apple and maybe the Logitech G Pro that makes editing easier, but it's also pretty much for the channel. I bought everything for the channel. So of the 5,500 euros that I spent it all for the channel. Okay, let's take maybe 1,000 off for the iPad. That's a luxury product that I bought for myself because I enjoy it a lot. I like it for what it does. It works for me. That's that. Now, let's see what I got from brands, from press agencies, and let's see what I actually use off of that, on what of those things are actually already good. And I mean, I have reviewed all of them, and it has no impact on what I said in my review. Absolutely not. That's just against my ethicals, morals. Okay, so the pretty much most expensive, but also first thing that I got of 2018 was pretty much already the first day, like 2nd or 3rd January, the OnePlus 5T, the Sandstone edition. I still, whoa, I got so many notifications. Wait, this can be done, this can be done, this and this and this and this. The Warriors won, 130, 125. Okay, so I got this one, cost about 500 euros back then when I got it, maybe 550. And it's still my daily driver, not just because I'm too cheap to buy actually something for my own, but I don't see a need for it. This still does everything that I wanted to. So nice, it feels good, good display and everything else. I mean, I would have wished for a McLaren when I was on that event, but yeah, didn't really even get a review unit to just check out. So that's that. So this is still one thing that I absolutely use. And this is the most useful thing that I got for free, I would say. Then the RHA products. I've reviewed all of those. No, actually not. Because the first one that I've reviewed was the MA750 wireless. I love those things from a sound standpoint because they just sound exactly what I want the headphone to sound like. The one thing that people complain about in the comments is sometimes comfort. And I said it's not the best comfort because it's not super secure and it's maybe not super comfortable in some aspects. I mean, I got used to it, but there are better ones out there. I have to just say that. And some people had an issue with the bass noise to be an issue for a Bluetooth headphone. I don't know. I've not experienced any bass white noise, so it didn't bother me. But great battery life, about 8 or I think actually even 9 or 10 hours. Super comfortable. No, not super comfortable, but comfortable. Great sound. And these are still pretty much the best thing that I've had in my ears so far still. Then I also reviewed the MA650s. I gifted those to my brother. Also really good. Absolutely can recommend them. I mean, I don't really use these as much, but I'm gonna tell you later on why. Even though from a sound standpoint, those definitely would be. But I don't really use portable headphones because I usually don't, when I'm on the go, use a headphone. Just maybe at work if I work alone and so on. Then I got the T20i, which I don't really know where they are. Maybe I packed them up. They could be closer here. I don't know. Really good sound, a little bit harder to drive though, not really possible with a phone that much, at least not for me. And I don't really use wired. I have to actually admit that even though at home I use wired only with a headphone amp, just because that's the only thing that gives me what I want. But on the go, for me, convenience is key. Then, as I said already on the Blitzwolf, on those truly wireless headphones, that's the thing that just works so good for me. And then I also got the CL750, which I didn't review yet, and those are not quite my thing. They are very treble focused and they sound a little bit, yeah, not quite my thing. But RHA actually told me that already. Then I have to move stuff a little bit to show that now. But just real quick, the Razer Huntsman Elite cost about $200 or so. Optomechanical switch. I love the tactile feedback. I love the sound. There is this little bit of this metallic sound. The lighting is good. Yeah, expensive. The wrist rest is not quite my thing, but it's a really nice keyboard. The reason why I'm not really using this on a daily basis is just because I have a lot more keyboards, just ones that I prefer. For example, like my Razer Ornata that I got also for free over a year ago from Razer, along with the lens head. And right now I'm actually back again on the HyperX, which is actually the next one already. The HyperX Alloy Elite RGB costs about $130. Also RGB. I have the blue switch, but it's available with brown and red. Love this thing. I sometimes just switch out because sometimes if I use the Ornata too long, I want something different, then I switch back to this one. So totally, absolutely love it. This is one thing that I got and actually still use. Then HyperX Cloud Alpha. Those are back here. The most often used scenario for those is when I check a headphone jack on a phone. This is what I'm monitoring with, because I use something that is generally quite easy to drive for a headphone, and it is quite commonly known because it's very close to the Cloud 2 that I use for a long time to check headphone jacks to the bass sound. But the Cloud 2 for some reason have an issue. They just don't really get recognized by headphones anymore for headphone jacks. I don't know. So I switched to those, but they're very similar in terms of sound general and very similar in terms of output power. So that's what I use. And sometimes then I use maybe a different in-ear to check that as well. So that's that. So I use those also for reference purposes. Then HyperX Pulse Fire Search. That's an ambidextrous wired gaming mouse. I have that on my second PC, which is that I actually don't even use that PC anymore. That's my previous one. Nice mouse, but I would wish for 2 buttons more on the right side. That's just, I need more buttons. But it's a really nice mouse, especially the sensor, really top. But it's not as good as the G Pro. Then the KZ products. Yes, I just got those not that long ago. The KZ ZS10 cost about $40 if I don't get it wrong. Those are the ones here. Let's put those to the side. And then I have also the ES4, cost about $20. Those are the green ones. What I also got are these. Let me quickly show these. These are the BTE, so the Bluetooth in-ears. I will go into those as well. Cost also about $20. So I cannot recommend the ZS10 at all. Just not my thing. I mean, the cable is good, the comfort is good, but the sound is just not good, especially compared to the ES4, because they sound actually worse and they cost more, so I don't see the reason to buy those. But here, pretty much the same cable. What I like is that this is very flexible, but actually stays that way. So you have to kind of mold them around your ear and pretty much exactly put them to the position where you want them to. And this actually looks a little bit big. I will show them in my ear in just a second, but it's actually way more comfortable than I would have expected, because it looks so big and usually I have small ears, so I thought this would be an issue, and it's actually not. And the cable is replaceable, which is super nice. There is actually a Bluetooth cable that you could use with those. I actually ordered that, but it never arrived. Got my money back by now. But let me put them in. Yeah, not crazy subtle. You can still definitely see them. But once you mold them properly around your ear, which is something that I don't want to do right now, these are, I mean, really good for the price. I mean, I've heard a lot of people praising those for the price. I didn't really know why, because I've heard that it's a little bit more bass focused, or let's say the bass was emphasized, and I expected the worst, but no, it's actually a little bit emphasized, like the high, so it's a little bit of a V shape, but way more subtle than I expected. It actually sounds really good. The comfort is way better than I would have expected. These are way more comfortable than some of the $200 in-ears that I've tried. Really good. The cable is okay. It's not the best quality, but it doesn't seem like it would break anytime soon. It doesn't tangle up actually too much. Yeah. These are a total go for that price. And I know my buddy Andrew has a pair, and now I actually understand, because when he explained them to me, I didn't really know what to think of, because he said, yes, a little bit bass is boosted, but he likes them a lot. I didn't really know what that means, because, for example, also when Juan McNeil tested them and said they are way better than you should expect for the price, that doesn't really tell me anything. The problem is, what does it mean? Is it better than a €30 headphone, better than a €40 headphone? Where does it stand? So way above €20. I mean, I would prefer these over some of the $100 or $200 headphones or earphones that I've tried, like for example the Brainwaves B400, because these are more comfortable and actually sound almost more pleasant. I'm not saying that they are higher quality, but more pleasant to use. So I said the prices already. I've talked about that. I didn't really review them just yet, didn't get to that. Then the Blitzwolf SDB1, that was their soundbar, the first one. I can't really pick that up, but it's down there. 1.20 meters long, I think, or a meter. Cost about $100. And actually it's something that I used for quite a while until I got it upstairs for the review and then never pulled it down again to my hi-fi room. But actually way better than any TV sounds. Really good sound. And there is actually an SDB2, costs about $150. I also got that just a few days ago, didn't even use it yet. Just unboxed it. It's, yeah, same length, a little bit thicker though and a little bit deeper. Costs $150, but has the option for actually for 2 wireless subwoofers. The subwoofers I'm actually still waiting for, because I actually didn't realize. I thought for $150 you get the soundbar and the subwoofer, which would have been phenomenal value. But no, the subwoofer is actually additional $150 extra. So that's something that I will also get. And I have high hopes, because already the first one was absolutely recommendable, really good for something that has no subwoofer. So this one should be even better, but it's also more expensive, but I think it will be definitely recommendable. Then the Volo Magic 2 starter kit. That's power LAN system that uses Wi-Fi Nash also to give you Wi-Fi, but also has Ethernet if you want to use that. I mean, I got that, and it doesn't really help my issue yet here upstairs, because when I plug one power LAN in here and one in the router where I have it, through my old electricity wires here, yeah, I'm not really seeing the speeds that I should get. So it doesn't really help me just yet. I have to fiddle around with it. So I can't really tell you much more about it. Just got that like a week or two ago. So the next thing, yeah, I actually forgot it in the German video. I got a Blitzwolf Bluetooth speaker, costs about 60 bucks or 80 bucks maybe. Sounds really good, sounds loud enough, looks good, high quality build, but still a little bit too expensive. If you get it for like 40, 50 bucks, absolutely, but I think it was 80 if I'm not wrong. The next thing, Humidigi Z2 Pro, where is that? I put that to the side, it's here. It's pretty much the phone with the best stock case when it comes to feel, because it has this fake leather, really nice and grippy, but the issue here is this is annoying because it's exactly where my finger stands. But this is already cool, and then we have pretty much one of the most beautiful bags. But the phone itself is not that great. I mean, it costed like $300, but it's maybe on a $150 level, because for that price, for $150, you get just a Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 or Redmi 5 Plus or something that is just better than this phone. It's not a bad phone, but I definitely should have sold it by now, because I'm not quite sure it will lose value and I definitely won't use it. So next product, the Honor Play. I don't have that here anymore. I actually sold that to a colleague of mine who gifted it to his daughter. I gave him a good rebate, so he paid noticeably less. I just wanted to get rid of it because I didn't have a use for it, and yeah, he was happy with the deal, so all good, win-win. Then Cherry keyboards. I got the Cherry keyboards and I don't even know which ones anymore. So the pretty cheap ones for 40 bucks. Never actually reviewed them though. That's pretty lame from my side, because when I got those fours, because I wanted to test all switches, I got also a switch tester. I was so slammed with the device that I never got to it, and I forgot it, and yeah, I've used them, but I never made a review. Pretty lame, yeah. So don't really use them anyways either. Then the X Duos. Here they are, the Nano D3 and the X20. I'm not quite sure about the price. This one should be like 60 bucks, and this one is like, I think, a little bit over 100. The reason why I don't use them anymore is just because I switched from local media pretty much to streaming at home, just because for convenience sake. I get more newer music easier. I don't have to look where I could buy it. I don't have to hassle around with it. I pay for YouTube Premium anyways, so I use YouTube Music. But this one is really nice if you want something portable. And if, for example, this would somehow support Android and use Google Play, I would use it still, because it has a lot of output power. For some reason, the USB DAC doesn't work for me because it has a lot of static distortion, but the headphone jack works great, the controls are great. So both definitely very good products if you still use something like that. Because let's actually talk a little bit about something different than products. Let's talk about a little bit about YouTube Premium. I pay about 12 euros a month for YouTube Premium, and I actually subscribed to it when I was in the USA. And in Germany, that wasn't actually available yet. It came like a month later, but I save like $1 every month because I made a subscription in the US and the currency switch and so on. So yeah, I don't really win much of it, but I get YouTube without any ads, and I get YouTube, YouTube Music. Not that something that I really use. I use it for a while, but yeah, I stick with Google Play Music, and Google Play Music is just the reason why I'm sticking. I mean, it's not the highest quality, but I like the interface. The UI works good. They have a good selection of music, and what I would like to definitely do is pay 10 bucks extra so I could have lossless music like FLAC, like I would have on Tidal, because I had Tidal for a month. And I definitely would use it instead of Google Play Music, but I'm not gonna pay 20 bucks extra because I definitely want to keep YouTube Music. If I would get rid of YouTube Music or YouTube Premium and the ad-free YouTube and Google Play Music, then I would go for Tidal. But I pay 12 bucks and get all those things. I get a little bit less quality, okay, but it is still good enough. It's convenient, and if Tidal would be just available for a little bit less, or Google would just offer something more high quality, it would be that. But I love the fact that I can use YouTube without any ads. That alone is already worth it for me by now, I have to say. I can't even imagine YouTube with ads anymore. Okay, then the ASIO Retro Classic Bluetooth. I reviewed it actually not that long ago. 200 bucks, a little bit over that actually. Retro style Bluetooth keyboard, but also wired. Clicky switches. typewriter style, but I actually have to give you a tip. There is one of this available from a different brand, and I can't remember the name. Someone posted it in the comments that offers the same. It's pretty much the same keyboard, just rebranded. I'm pretty sure it's the same, just rebranded for about 120. I mean, it was available on Black Friday for 160 or something like that, but still, it's not something that I personally use. I mean, I like the looks of it, but the typing experience was a little bit odd for me because I'm not the biggest fan of the circular buttons, and it felt like some grinding of the plastic, so not quite I just preferred the typical plastic ones, or the gaming ones with RGB. Then the next thing, Blitzwolf FYE2. Truly wireless earbuds for 30 bucks. I don't have them here right now, forgot them downstairs because those are always in my bag. That's what I use at work because those are so comfortable. And I mean, the convenience is for me the thing. They have a good sound, they don't cost much, so if I lose maybe one, it's not the end of the world. And they sound really nice for 30 bucks. Now, people have asked me about the FYE4. Those are actually still on their way. So from the spec sheet, they should be a little bit better than the FYE2. In terms of battery life and also maximum volume, even though all that was fine. So I can't tell you anything before I get them, but those should be the thing. Maybe I will also review the FYE5, but I'm not quite so sure because maybe I will review them, but I don't think they are better than the 4s because they look like an actual down step from the 4. But that's just paper. Paper doesn't mean much, or the specs. Then Jaybirds X4, those are here, and they are here for a reason because these are Bluetooth sport headbuds, and I don't really do sports, I don't really run, but I have to say they cost about 120. They are very, very comfortable, not really for me, but with my right normal ear, yes, with the left weird ear not. Super comfortable, good sound once you equalize it a little bit, but I also have to say that if it's for running, maybe yes, but I mean, just for 120 or for about that price, you can get something like the MA750 wireless from RHA, which sounds so much better, but those are not really meant for running. These are, so still very nice. So next thing, let's actually get to those real quick, where they are. Yeah, here they are. The Soul Run Free Pro. I think these are the BIOS, which means, I mean, these are also made for running. The problem that I had with the Jaybirds that the cable was sticking is not an issue here. This is actually also reflective. You can change the size here. You have the remote control. Battery hour life was like 8 hours, I think. On the Jaybirds, I think a little bit less, like 6. I'm not quite so sure. They are not quite as comfortable, not quite as secure in your ear. I mean, if you use that, there is a plugin where the hook is bigger, then they were just as secure, but these are not quite as good. But they sound about just as good, a little bit different. But what these have actually for the 120 that they cost extra is a biometric sensor or something like that. So this means whenever you are running, it tracks your step frequency, it tracks your head angle, the steps, how big you make them, how long you are in the air. So a lot of running steps. So this is actually pretty handy. I mean, I didn't really review them just yet, didn't get to them, but just for the sound, they are nice. Comfort is wise, 130. I mean, they are also available without that sensor option for like 70 bucks. I mean, for 70 bucks for the sport aspect, I guess yes. For the sound, there are still better ones. And I actually just now realized that they are ever so slightly magnetic, but really just ever so slightly. But if you want these biometrics, because there is a voice coach here with the app integrated, which means whenever you are running maybe too fast, it tells you to slow down, or if your steps are too big or too wide, it tells you to. And I don't really know how it actually tracks step width and such things, but it can, and it works quite nice. The next thing, the BenQ screen bar, you can see that here. I reviewed that, and they actually told me that they are happy about the review. It helped them a lot. I don't even know why, because I didn't really recommend this thing, because for about 80 or 100 bucks, this is a nice LED over, I mean, you have a nice light over your monitor, but I don't really need that personally. I don't use that at all. I have it just because it still looks quite cool in some aspect, and maybe I will need the light here and there, but usually I don't here in the studio, because now I have echo and the lights with the voice recognition, and this thing is just too expensive for 80 or 100 bucks. For 40, 50 maybe, but you can get cheaper alternatives. So then the next, the Rebonext QD3. These are those ones here. Treble cannons, I already reviewed those. Cost like 50 or 60 bucks. Comfort is good. Cable is a little bit on the tangly side, but it's actually not that bad. Not nearly as bad as on the Brainwaves. but so much highs. I mean, bass is nice, mid sound good, but too much highs, and you would have to equalize them. So for the price, I think there are better solutions out there. The next thing, Biodynamic DT240, 80 bucks. Semi over ear, because more like on ear. So at first they are very comfortable. After a while I didn't think they are so comfortable anymore. A good sound. It's not really pro, so not quite as neutral. They are a little bit sounded after all, and it has the typical kind of biodynamic signature. They sound quite nice. I still prefer my Yamaha MT5 in that price range in terms of comfort over a longer period of time, and definitely in terms of sound, but I can still recommend it because I know a lot of people will like these quite a lot. Next thing, yep, Biodynamic Beat Bird. Cost about $30. Now they are finally available, and I think they are definitely worth the money. I mean, they don't sound nearly as good as the $20 ES4, but the cable is super nice quality. It doesn't tangle up. That's the big part. I mean, here you can replace the cable if it goes drop. Here you would have to replace the headphones, but I think this will hold up for a long time, and it's the comfort. These are very, very subtle in your ear. Not the cable's color, but if you put them in your ear, you can see these pretty much are not visible from the outside. Super comfortable. Sound is also good. Not ES4 good, but absolutely fine. Maybe a little bit more mainstream. Like with a little bit more bass, you would maybe have to tune them just a little bit, so to give them a little bit more brilliance in the highs. So maybe push the highs and mids just a little bit, and you should be way more off. But the cable's quality and the comfort are what makes them absolutely still worth it. So that's that. I mean, if you're asking me about what some did about the Soulbird, which is the higher end version, it costs like 80 bucks, has a remote control. I've tried that on IFA and it sounded noticeably better, and it might be worth the extra money. I'm not quite sure how they compare to other headphones just yet because I didn't try them yet, but I just didn't get mine yet. They told me I would get them, didn't arrive just yet, but maybe look out for those. So I don't need to draw it. That's some stylus that I got, cost about 20-30 bucks, not worth it. We don't need to talk about it. I mean, yeah. It's not something that anyone actually really needs. Then the Brainwaves B200 and the 400. I mean, the 400s I have somewhere downstairs, but it's pretty much the same. Cable, not good quality. It tangles up all the time, and it's a little bit flimsy. It doesn't look all that good, but comfort is good, sound is good. But for the price, by now I have to say maybe not quite so much, because those cost about 100 bucks and the B400 cost about 200 bucks. And even though I liked both of those back then when I reviewed, especially the B400, by now I know that there's just more comfortable stuff out there and something that sounds maybe at least a little bit more pleasing. Maybe not always better quality per se, but overall more maybe satisfying. Yeah, that's that. But I still use those, obviously, for reviewing purposes, for referencing. Now, Asus Zenfone 5. I got so much hate from the English viewers, not so much from the German ones. They didn't care so much for this phone. But, I mean, I gave it by now to my brother. He still uses that actually in battery off mode, which means he charges it like every 2 weeks. And then it's dead after like 3 or 4 days, because he doesn't really use this phone much anyways. But, I mean, it felt a little bit bulky. Has the horrendous notch. The display was actually quite nice, but a little bit off in terms of calibration. Speakers were really loud and actually quite good. Stereo, but a little bit off as well. Performance was absolutely fine. Battery life was fine. Nothing special here. Software was a total Samsung ripoff, and the camera was fast. And so it was overall not a bad phone, but for $350 when I reviewed it back then, like I said, there was just better stuff out there available. So just didn't give me much. But my brother is quite happy. Then the Cambridge Audio DAC Magic Plus headphone amp with a DAC, which is also what I'm actually pretty much using as my DAC downstairs with the CA Azure 740, which seems already broken, because I heard some complaints about people saying me that the Cambridge Audio has bad manufacturing quality or quality control. And I mean, my Azure is still fine, but it seems that my Cambridge Audio DAC Magic Plus has an issue, because what it does right now, I don't know, it happened all of a sudden, like every half a minute or a minute. It's not something super consistent. There is this very loud psh, like someone would use a whip. Super annoying, absolutely not usable. Maybe could even break the speakers over long term, which are Review units by now, so not that much of an issue, as long as it doesn't break my expensive speakers. But yeah, it shouldn't break it, so I'm gonna have to try if I can maybe get them replaced or get it replaced. But otherwise, it's a very nice DAC, and there's definitely a noticeable difference, audible, compared when I use this to just the normal analog output. Then the G-Chic OnLab 1305H. That's a portable laptop. People actually were quite fond of that idea because it is a portable monitor, works with normal phone charger, for example, uses the proprietary HDMI, size is quite okay. I mean, belts are not super elegant anymore. 13.3 inches, if I'm not wrong, 1080p resolution, and the display was actually nice, but the price was just to have a $300 because ASUS has one of these available, for example, something similar with just USB-C power, so you don't need anything more than one cable through your laptop. Because I've used it actually quite a few times, and I use this when I record downstairs in my studio where I don't have a monitor because my cameras can't flip. Or it can, but it's too small to see from the distance. So then I use this for monitoring. And it's a handy thing, but it's just a little bit too expensive for what it is. But for what it is, it's nice. So, next thing. And how long are we? 40 minutes. Yeah, we are on track. The Haier U49H7000, that's a 49-inch 4K TV that I reviewed a while ago. Still have that and still use it on my daily basis when I don't just right now, for example, review the AF9 from Sony, their OLED 65-inch. But the 49 inch is what I just used because I didn't have a TV for like over 10 years anymore. I had my projector 110-inch, just used that. Didn't use that for a while, and then right now, since I got it, I have the TV. It's a fine TV. It costs about $400, maybe a little bit less by now. Quality is totally okay. Obviously, there's still a lot room for something better. But for the price, and since I got it for free, I'm definitely going to use that until it breaks. Or once finally I decide which OLED, or maybe non-OLED actually, I will buy. Then Corsair HS50. Those are those here. Yeah. I think like $40, quite comfortable, a little bit weirdly padded because it looks a lot padding, like a lot of padding, but it's really not because this is quite hard, this is quite flat, but you get enough space inside. It didn't really touch my ear anywhere. The mic was okay, overall quality was good, the sound was good, cable quality, I mean it's not detachable. It looks quite nice as you can see here. This is available in different colors, nice stitching, comfortable. Volume control. So for about $40 or $50 what it costs, absolutely, yeah, sure. This is comparable, for example, to something like an HyperX Cloud Stinger. Yeah, I still prefer the Stinger a little bit more, but yeah, absolutely. I use those like every other headset or headphone as well, just for reference purposes all the time. Then Teufel 1S, I'm not going to talk much about that because this is a German product. You won't be really able to get that outside of Germany. I got 2 of these for free and I was super happy because at that point I used them a lot, but by now I'm annoyed by these because I mostly use them for is not the network functionality but the Bluetooth functionality, and the delay is absolutely fine, sound quality is fine, you have a lot of ports on the back. But boy, is Windows stupid in that regard, because this thing, even though I turn off the Bluetooth mode, it turns itself every time on once I open the Windows device, and it just connects whenever I don't want to. And since I have 2, one in my kitchen and one in the bedroom, it's pretty much always the wrong one that I want to turn on. I mean, recently I think I found a solution that actually might work, but still this thing turns on so often when I just don't want it to. In the middle of the night for no particular reason. There is no Windows device on, there is no app, because this has a really nice app. It's similar to Sonos. It works just about as good, but I don't really use that anymore since I use Google Play Music by now. But if this thing would have a switch, no Bluetooth right now, or if I use the app and turn off Bluetooth, it should stay there. So by now, I kind of regret that I returned the Yamaha network speakers that I had. Would have been, I think, the better one for me. Then HyperX Cloud Flight, those are the wireless ones here. I think they cost like $130 or $120. I don't really even know anymore. They are quite comfortable, but they are noticeably warmer over a longer period of time compared to the Alpha or the Cloud 2, because this feels so much heavier and softer padded and a little bit more flat, but very comfortable. The issue for me is, I mean, they sound actually quite good. The mic is okay, wireless functionality, and the battery was quite long. And I would use it actually sometimes at home when I'm just walking, maybe doing some stuff here in the studio, and to listen to them while I can't use a wired one, but it's not loud enough for me on wireless mode. Wired, obviously, yes, but if I'm using it wired, then I would use something else. But of the wireless ones, and for anyone else, it will be loud enough. Absolutely still recommendable. Still the best, pretty much the only wireless that I had, because I only had, I think, like, yeah, okay, the Logitech 933, the 533, and the Razer. What was it? The Razer Manowar. Yeah. Then Ultrasound Nows, that was a little of a USB deck. I'm not quite sure where. I usually always have it in my bag, so I guess that's where it still is. Nice sound, but 1.6 is a little bit too much for just a little bit of a deck. That it doesn't give me enough power, but good sound quality, and I use it pretty much all the time whenever I have a phone that's just not loud enough and I want to listen with a phone. Then the Snooper Atom. That is a gimbal for phones. It's an Indiegogo Kickstarter project that I got. Costs, when it will be released, like 120, 150, depending on which version you get, because you get it with different accessories, like for example a lav mic and a normal mic and so on. And I actually have to say it's kind of a cool idea. The problem is that I didn't review it actually just yet. It was a little bit buggy still, and it didn't work out so well. By now it works, and maybe I will get the review done now that I have vacation. But here you can see, you can hear it even now. Sometimes for some reason, yeah, now it's working okay. So it's not level right now for some reason. You can level it obviously in the software, because the software was an issue. By now it should be stable enough. With iPhones it worked absolutely fine, but the Android software was so buggy. And I mean, it does what it does. I'm not quite so sure. As you can see now, I don't know why it does that sometimes. I still have to find out how a gimbal actually works, so that's why the review is taking a bit longer. I have this for like 3 months already, because I never really used a gimbal. I mean, the functionality is nice. It also has face tracking, for example, with the Android app, object tracking. You, for example, also have here the controls, where you can control it to the sides, flip it, zoom, and all those kind of things. And actually, what is pretty nice to see, let's actually turn it off. It's supposed to be the smallest phone gimbal. I'm not quite so sure about that, because like I said, I have no comparison for that, but this is how big it is. But it has one extra nice little feature. You have, for example, here, or actually two, here you have the microphone input, and you will need that, because I noticed if you move that, you actually hear the motors on your recording, so you should use an external microphone. But here's what it does. Here you can plug in the headphone or the cable to the phone, and then, if I didn't get that wrong, here the one to your mic, and then you will record to your phone. I still have to try it actually, but that's handy, because if you use it like this, you can have your lav mic and the phone can do whatever it wants to. But the second actually cool thing is here you have one Type-C here to charge the gimbal, and then you have one Type-C here. You know why? This has wireless charging, so you could just charge your phone while you are actually using it. So quite a nice product. I just have to find out how good it really works. And like I said, I don't really have a comparison, because I've never used the gimbal, and I don't really know. I wanted to use this for blogging already for a long time, but yeah, just did not happen. And let me actually, why? Okay, one whole rotation wrong. Now, up, there it is. So, next thing, Soul Run 3 Pro, I already talked about those. Then the Cambridge Audio Yo-Yo L and M. Okay, so these are the M. You get two of these for about $350. Bluetooth. They obviously also have a headphone or a mic, normal 3.5mm input. You can also mount them. They are battery powered. They also have a USB port. Battery should be up for 12 hours. I think like 8 or 9 hours are absolutely realistic. They look nice. They sound really good. Stereo pairing. The issue for me though, why I don't use these, is just like on the M, on the L, that I will show you in just a second, is that the Bluetooth delay is just too long. They don't really support aptX HD or anything. This is the L. Costs $400. This one extra has though a few extra things though. Extra has extra thing. No battery though. It has an optical. It has an HDMI with ARC, USB, one extra port that I don't know what it is for. Maybe for servicing. Really good sound. I mean, it doesn't have the stereo separation obviously of the stereo ones, but for a single one device, you could, for example, use this under your TV, and it should still sound a lot better than most TVs. this is what it can do really good, and it sounds good. But the Bluetooth delay, if you use it with Bluetooth, or even if you use it with the Chromecast functionality, that's the one thing that it has over the M. This has Chromecast functionality, so you can cast without any issues, which is the one thing that I liked it so much for, and you can stream from a device. But the delay for audio and video is just off, because it's like at least 200 or 300 milliseconds off, which is just too much. So you can't use this and watch video. If you just listen to it for music, it's absolutely fine, or if you use it wired, top, great. And that's why I didn't actually review them yet, because I asked them, is there a solution, a fix for that, maybe a firmware upgrade or anything, which is something unlikely, but they didn't really get back to me yet, so I'm still waiting for the review. Sound-wise, absolutely yes, not quite cheap, but I'll definitely like the M, especially for the Chromecast functionality. But if the delay would be gone, I would use this all the time, because I've used this in my bedroom for music quite a long time, but when I wanted to use it with a laptop or a tablet, I just noticed it's unusable. That's the issue. Then Teufel Real Blue and the Real Blue NC. So the ones are the normal ones, and these are the ANC ones. Also German product, doesn't really matter too much to you. It costs about 150, sometimes on sale. The NC version, normally the 150 euro version is the one without NC, and officially I think it's like 180 and 230 or 220 for the ANC version, but you get usually always them cheaper. And these are actually, for the price of around 150, 180, or even up to 200, one of the better Bluetooth headphones out there. With, I mean, the noise cancelling, nothing special, is okay, average, but quite comfortable. Maybe the ear cups could be a little bit better, and they could look a little bit more subtle here. But build quality is fine, and the sound is noticeably better. Yes, bass is noticeably significantly overemphasized, and you should maybe tune it down by at least 2, 3, or 4, maybe 4 dB. But then they sound really nice. And maybe compared to also the Sony Hero 2 that I actually forgot to put on that list, those would be, from the cheaper ones, actually the best sounding ones, because these sound better than a Bose QC45, and actually think they sound better than the 1000Xs or something like that, even the newest generation. So good sound, a little bit bass overemphasized, but also the Hero 2 sound really good, and those I gifted to my brother. Headphone stand, yeah, I just got that actually as a Christmas gift from tradingshenzhen.com, just like with the AirDots, but I'm gonna get to that. So nice headphones, and I always wanted to have something like this. This one is from Calibri, really nice. I like these. Now I have one finally. Okay, what I also almost forgot is this. This I just bought recently. It's a tablet or headphones phone stand. It's nice and soft here, so it shouldn't scratch up the phone. It can be swiveled a little bit. Is this swiveling, tilting? Has a nice stand. I actually bought this mostly for the iPad, but as you have seen, what I use with my iPad by now all the time is what I also got once. I have 2 of these because one got broken, but I just fixed it. So this is pretty much what I'm using my iPad all the time with, but this is handy. And I bought like $8 for this. This was on sale. If I would have known how good it actually is, I would have bought like 2 or 3 just so I can use the phones and I don't have to worry about scratching it up whenever I use them. So really nice product. Then the Blitzwolf STB2 and SW2 I already talked about. And then the Xiaomi AirDots. And on the German video, I actually made an exclusive unboxing when I tried them on for the very first time, but I can keep the shorter right now. So let's open the box from the right side, obviously. And here they are. You get obviously 3 different sizes of ear fits, but I mean, if they are charging, as you can maybe see here, you see the light, but the good thing on the Blitzwolf was that the light was shining through. Here you have to open them to see it, but yeah, you don't really have to see. But I like the size of the box because it's a noticeably more decent box. It's more subtle. You can easily just have this in your pocket all the time, obviously with USB type, micro USB. And one thing that surprised me actually, I mean, the weird thing is once you put them on, the pairing process was super easy. They turned on automatically. I didn't do anything. And I just used my phone and looked for them and it found them. So the pairing process was super easy. It talks Chinese though. Maybe you can somehow switch that to English. That's something that I'm going to find out. But what I did not expect is them to be so comfortable. I mean, I've only used them for like a minute or two on the English video, but I mean, they don't look super subtle, the white. If this would be black, it would be way nicer. Touch controls, I still have to find out exactly how they work, because one tap is play, double tap is for the voice recognition, but I'm not quite sure how to change the volume. I have to find it out. But comfort is surprisingly good, because the Blitzwolf FYE2 that I had kind of different positions where it worked in your ear. So you could have them like this or like this, and it was depending on the comfort. Oh, I actually triggered it by accident. Yeah. But these, they pretty much only have one position, which is this one here. But boy, these are comfortable, and I didn't even switch out the ear, the silicone tip to the smaller ones, which I usually always do. I think I will do this over the longer period of time, and I did a little bit of a test, and I have to say they sound actually really good so far. I mean, that's not a review yet, but they sound a little bit bass emphasized, like a V-shape was there, but it wasn't too much. I would say maybe even a little bit more neutral than the Blitzwolf, and the highs were actually quite nice. Definitely not muffled or anything like that. Mids will be a little bit processed, but so far I have to say I like them. Maybe these could replace the Blitzwolf, because the Blitzwolf are what I use at work whenever I'm alone and I can listen to music, or sometimes just as earplugs because they're so convenient. These, if these would be black, totally. These would be, I think, the new ones. I mean, the Blitzwolf are a little bit more decent. These are just not subtle enough, but if the sound turns out to be good, because what I like, for example, here, this seems to be a little bit more secure. On the Blitzwolf, it doesn't work so much. But it will depend on the sound quality after all. It will depend on especially also the battery life. I have no idea how long that one is just yet. We can see it charges. Yeah, you can't see. Okay, not to make this much longer than the German video, let's get to one thing. I didn't really check the prices, what I've paid or what the costs would have been for all the stuff that I've got for free, because I did check it at some point. I was at, I think, 5,700 euros, but then I remembered a few more things, I would say, so maybe I'm closer to maybe 7,000, which, like I said, sounds like a lot, but if you think about what I actually use and for what I use it, I mean, the stuff that I bought, I pretty much just bought for YouTube in some way or the other. But the stuff that I got for free, I mean, most of the headphones, most of the keyboards, the in-ears, this one, that is stuff that I use for referencing purposes all the time. So that's not something that I personally use all that much. The luxury items that I would be happy. So the most useful thing that I got for free was obviously OnePlus 5T, maybe the sound bar or the TV or something like that. But I mean, if you look at how much time I spent into that, it's actually not that much. And I was talking actually a lot more in the German video about, for example, things like that. Yeah, I don't really know. No, but I had a point that, but I will talk about it in a rambling actually, because about the videos and so on. Let me actually quickly check what my rambling topics were, and maybe then I remember. Yeah, about the natural talking thing, because I mean, I enjoy these longer videos so much more than the normal ones, because in the normal ones I feel always a little bit rushed, like I have to keep it tight because people don't have an attention span. But here's the thing, I personally don't do what most people do. Most people watch a 5-minute video because they don't have more time, and therefore they don't watch the longer videos. For me, it's actually the exact opposite. When I see a 5-minute video, I say, I'm not even gonna bother and watch this video. I'm gonna watch long. I usually prefer long videos, more casual style videos, which is something that is harder to get. And I enjoy these so much more. And I know some of the viewers right now will tell me I like those super long ones as well. But I mean, that's a small group of people who like these. It's just not the thing. But what I'm gonna try maybe for next year, and I will talk about a little bit more in the rambling in the upcoming one, that I wanna try to talk a little bit more natural, like I do in these videos, also in the reviews, because that's something, for example, for some reason that I can't. Whenever I'm on a review, I know I have to be a little bit more objective, a little bit more serious, a little bit less jokey, a little bit less weird. Have to keep the bloopers in moderate sizes and all those things. So for some reason I can't. in these videos I can. So obviously what would maybe happen, videos would get a little bit longer. Maybe if they don't get too long, I would definitely prefer this. So that's kind of my own mission, my own goal, trying to get a little bit more casual for the normal reviews, just because then I could enjoy YouTube even more so. But let me actually know what you have bought in 2018, what you think to buy in 2019, because I'm not planning to buy much in 2018. In 2019 I bought actually more than I thought in 2018, but like I said, mostly for the channel. For my own luxurious style, it's just the iPad. The rest was pretty much necessary in some way. But yeah, this video is getting longer, so let's actually get this up. Something got wrong. I changed the angle. Ah, that's why I had it like this. So I could go lower in angle. Now it makes sense. Okay, so let me know what you want to buy, what you have bought. Maybe of all the products, which were interesting for you, which you maybe have, and what you think about them, or something like that. Just let me know in the comments. Let's keep the discussion going. And yeah, I'm gonna actually make this end shorter than it was on the German one, where it was super long, but therefore I took things a little bit longer actually in the English part, hence why this is actually right now an hour. So I'm gonna stop this right now.